Kurunji Senior Secondary School, CBSE, Namakkal.
Successful result producing school in state every year.
Administered by the Board of Directors with over 35 years of experience in the teaching field.
Special attention on art, craft, music, dance, silambam, yoga, skating and karate.
Focus on Hindi Sabha and Spell Bee Olympiad exams.
Smart class for effective and innovative learning and well-furnished library.
Solitary importance on sports and games in state and national level.
WhatsApp facilities to know activities of students and school inside the campus.
NEET, JEE, IIT coaching experts from Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh along with our effective teachers.
Admission registration for classes LKG to +2.
Kurunji Educational Institution, Kavetipatti, Namakkal. Admission in progress. CBSE, KG to 12, contact 9025895176. Metric 6 to 12, contact 9344567484. For online admission, log on to www.kurunjischoolnkl.in.
In continuation to the last class, in this class we are going to discuss about first second law of thermodynamics. அதுக்கப்புறம் we are going to discuss reversible and irreversible processes. Reversible and irreversible processes. Okay, right. See, first second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay, right. See, in our previous classes we already discussed what is thermodynamic first law, and we also discussed what is zeroth law of thermodynamics. While discussing about zeroth law of thermodynamics, I told you, so according to the series of situations, if you come to the point of series of situations, what happened? First, the scientist defined the first law and second law of thermodynamics. After that, they came to define, that is what zeroth law of thermodynamics. So because of the giving number, so because of no number, they put the first one as zeroth law of thermodynamics, and then first law and then second law, right? Anyhow, conceptually we discussed zeroth law of thermodynamics and first law of thermodynamics. Now we are going to discuss about second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay, right. See here, ma. The second law of thermodynamics gives the second. Before going to enter into the second law of thermodynamics, just I will remind you a little about first law of thermodynamics. See, what is first law of thermodynamics? Which is the principle of conservation of energy. No, dq is equal du plus dw, right? So the common experience for us shows that there are many conceivable processes that are perfectly allowed by the first law and yet are never observed. See, I am going for example. If you take one example, that is, nobody has ever seen a book lying on a table jumping to a height by itself. Have you observed? Did you observe any time? I'll repeat. Nobody has ever seen a book lying on a table jumping to a height by itself. So we never saw. See, what he is saying in first law, dq is equal to du plus dw. dq is equal to du plus dw. That's why he is saying common experience shows that there are many conceivable processes that are perfectly allowed by the first law and yet are never observed. Yet are never observed. Okay, right. But such a thing would be possible. See, such a thing means what? Book jumping to a certain height by itself. Such a thing would be possible. Such a thing would be possible if the principle of conservation of energy, were the only restriction. Okay, right. The table could cool spontaneously. Am I right? Suppose if the table is hot, it cool spontaneously, converting some of its internal energy into an equal amount of mechanical energy of the book. Converting some of its internal energy into an equal amount of mechanical energy of the book, which would then hop to a height, hop to a height with potential energy equal to the mechanical energy it acquired. Suppose for example, whatever the mechanical energy observed by the book, suppose if that mechanical energy will convert into the convert into the potential energy, then what will happen? Definitely the book has to go up, no? That's what should happen, right? Okay, but this never happens. Is it happening? No, we could not see. We never see a book jumping to certain height by itself from the surface of the table, right? That's what we observed. So here we can say that clearly some additional basic principle of nature forbids the above. What is that? Even though it satisfies the energy conservation principle, this principle which disallows many phenomena consistent with the first law of thermodynamics is known as the second law of thermodynamics, right? See the information what we discussed from last 5 minutes, I'll give some conclusion. That is what, see, the book is not jumping to certain height by itself when it is going to when it is put on the table, when it is there on the table. See, even though the bench is hot, even though the table is hot, to become cool, it gives energy or heat, right? Energy in the form of heat to the surroundings, or heat in the form of energy to the surroundings. Similarly, the book is also receives certain amount of energy. If this energy will convert into the potential energy of the book, then the book can jump. But it is not happening. It is not happening. That's we have to keep in mind. Right? That's why first law is not a complete. So there is one more. That is what the second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay? See here. So what is the second law of thermodynamics means? See this. The second law of thermodynamics gives a fundamental limitation. The second law of thermodynamics gives a fundamental limitation to the efficiency of a heat engine. The second law of thermodynamics gives a fundamental limitation to the efficiency of a heat engine and the coefficient of performance of a refrigerator So the second law of thermodynamics gives a fundamental limitation to the efficiency of a heat engine and the coefficient of performance of a refrigerator, right? In simple terms, it says that efficiency of a heat engine can never be unity. That's what we discussed in previous class. According to equation, what is that equation? According to the equation, eta is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Eta is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. According to the equation, eta is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. We can say that that equation implies that heat released to the cold reservoir can never be made zero. According to the equation, that is Q is equal to eta is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Heat released to the cold reservoir can never be made to zero. That is one thing. And next one. For a refrigerator, the second law says that the coefficient of performance can never be infinite. According to the equation, that is what alpha is equal to Q2 by W. According to the equation, alpha is equal to Q2 by W. External work can never be zero. And now we are going to define the second law of thermodynamics in two statements. That is what one is Kelvin-Planck statement, another one is Clausius statement, right? Based on these two laws, we are going to define. If you see that Kelvin and Planck statement, so that Kelvin-Planck denying the possibility of perfect heat engine, and another is due to the Clausius denying the possibility of a perfect refrigerator or heat pump, right? And those two statements, by concising the information of these two statements, you can write like this. See, Kelvin-Planck statement, what is means? No process is possible whose sole result is the absorption of heat from a reservoir and the complete conversion of the heat into work. That's what he is saying according to the Kelvin-Planck statement. Similarly, you can see Clausius statement. No process is possible whose sole result is the transfer of heat from a colder object to the hotter object. I'll repeat once again. No process is possible whose sole result is the transfer of heat from a colder object to the hotter object. This is what Clausius statement. Okay, this is the Kelvin-Planck statement, and this is the Clausius statement. Okay, so what I am saying is, regarding the Kelvin-Planck statement, no process is possible whose sole result is the absorption of heat from a reservoir and the complete conversion of heat into work. Next, Clausius statement is, no process is possible whose sole result is the transfer of heat from a colder object to the hotter object. Okay, right. But anyhow, these two statements are giving the complete same meaning. So that's why he told it can be proved that the two statements above are completely equivalent. Okay, right. Now we are going to discuss what is meant by reversible process and what is meant by irreversible process. Okay, right. As simple as such, I will tell you. You know, for example, if you are going to mix a salt with water, after mixing you will get salt water, right? Now, will you separate salt from water? That you have to think. Similarly, sugar solution, for example, you take some water and add little bit of sugar, and now what will happen? You will get sugar water or sugar like that. Will you separate sugar from water? Right? That is, for example, there is a rubber band. You know, it is elastic in nature, right? If you are going to pull it beyond the elastic limit, it will break into, that is what it will break. Is it possible to get again the original? These are the questions we have in our mind. These questions gives us the topic, what is a reversible process and what is a irreversible process. Okay, right. See, imagine some process, for example, imagine some process in which a thermodynamic system goes from an initial state I to a final state F. Imagine. During the process, the system absorbs a heat Q from the surroundings and performs work W on it. Okay, right. Can we reverse this process? And bring both the system and the surroundings to their initial states with no other effect anywhere. Okay, that is. So the experience suggests that most process in nature is not possible, right? See, experience suggests that for most process this is reversibility is not possible. See, the spontaneous process of nature are irreversible. Process. In another way, for example, if you see that, in another way, right, before going to discuss the other way of this topic, I will tell you some more information, that is several examples we can take. For example, you take one best example, that is the base of a vessel on an oven is hotter than its other parts. Am I right? Yes. When the vessel is removed, heat is transferred from the base to the other parts, bringing the vessel to a uniform temperature. Right? The process cannot be reversed. See, what is the process here? First, the base is hot. See, when you are going to remove the vessel from oven, see, the heat is going to transfer from base to the surroundings. It's okay, but will you expect again the heat comes from surroundings to the base? No, it is not possible, right? So it is the example of irreversible process. A part of the vessel will not get cooler spontaneously and warm up the base. Okay, here it will violate the second law of thermodynamics. If it did, suppose if it happens like that, means the heat energy again comes to the base, means it is violating second law of thermodynamics. Okay, right. And one more thing, the combustion reaction of a mixture of petrol and air ignited by a spark cannot be reversed, right? Similarly, like that, in that manner, cooking gas leaking from a gas cylinder in the kitchen diffuses to the entire room. The diffusion process will not spontaneously reverse and bring the gas back to the cylinder, right? It is like a joking, no? See, generally we are seeing some of the places like gas cylinders like that, right? See, whenever the gas is going to leak, the entire gas will diffuse to the entire room, right? But this total gas which is present in the room will not come back to the cylinder, right? If it comes, it's okay, but it will not come now. That's what we have to notice, right? Similarly, the stirring of a liquid in thermal contact with a reservoir will convert the work done into heat, increasing the internal energy of the reservoir. Okay, the process cannot be reversed exactly, otherwise it would amount to conversion of heat entirely into work, violating the second law of thermodynamics, right? So finally, because of these many examples, finally you can give one statement, that is what irreversibility is a rule rather an exception in nature, right? That is, irreversibility arises mainly from two causes. One is see, for example, in the bracket you see, like free expansion or an explosive chemical reaction, right? Irreversibility arises mainly from two causes, right? See here, take the system to non-equilibrium states. First one is take the system to non-equilibrium states. Second one is the most process involve friction, viscosity and other dissipative forces or effects. See, what are the dissipative effects? For example, moving body coming to a stop and losing its mechanical energy as heat to the floor and the body. Suppose if there is a rotating blade, means a rotating blade in a liquid coming to a stop due to the viscosity and losing its mechanical energy with its corresponding gain in the internal energy of the liquid. So in this manner it is going to lose the energy. That's why reversibility is not possible, right? Since dissipative effects are present everywhere and can be minimized but not fully eliminated. I used to say many times, errors can be minimized, cannot be removed. That's what I used to say many times. In the first chapter also, units and measurement, I told you, right? That's what. See, most processes that we deal with are irreversible. Okay, right? See, now a thermodynamic process, that is from initial state to the final state, is reversible if the process can be turned back such that both the system and the surroundings return to their original states with no other change anywhere else in the universe. Then you can say that it is reversible, but it is not happening, no, right? So in our previous class, I mean not previous class, before that class, I told you different types of thermodynamic processes. There I explained you quasi-static process, right? There we got a lot of information regarding this. See, when there is infinitely small, right, then only it is possible, and that is also ideal. Okay, right? Next, from the preceding discussion, see what we discussed here. A reversible process is an idealized notion. A process is reversible only if it is a quasi-static, and there are no dissipative effects. For example, quasi-static isothermal expansion of an ideal gas in a cylinder fitted with a frictionless movable piston is a reversible process. Okay, right? When you go to the point of practical possibility, right, there you can say confidently reversibility is like some of the ideal process, right? But irreversibility means that is what the nature of the nature. See what's happening in case of either chemical reaction or whatever it may be the situation, and we come across whatever the situation in this chapter itself, right? In some other cases also, because reversibility and irreversibility means many things will come. See, either chemical reaction, and just now in the same class before 5 minutes we used to discuss many examples, right? That is next. One more small question like information. See this: why is reversibility such a basic concept in thermodynamics? This is the question, right? We can put ourselves. So what is the information we can discuss based on this question? As we have seen, one of the concerns of thermodynamics is the efficiency with which heat can be converted into work. Okay, that is the importance. And the second law of thermodynamics rules out the possibility of a perfect heat engine with 100% efficiency, right? That is, but what is the highest efficiency possible for a heat engine working between two reservoirs at temperatures T1 and T2? Right? Okay. So it turns out that a heat engine based on idealized reversible process achieves the highest efficiency possible. Okay, but in other direction, all other engines involving irreversibility in any way have lower than this limiting frequency, right? I hope the last two lines giving the complete usage regarding the discussion of this particular topic, that is reversible and irreversible processes. Okay, that is okay, right? So in this class we focus to discuss second law of thermodynamics, and then reversible and irreversible processes. Okay, right? So in our next class we are going to discuss what is Carnot engine, which is very important for our board point of view and for NEET point of view also. And in our previous class we came to discuss some of the formulas. Those are eta is equal to 1 minus q2 by q1, and alpha is equal to q2 by q1 minus q2, and there itself alpha is equal to q2 by w, and eta is equal to w by q1. These formulas are very, very important for NEET point of view as well as board point of view also, right? That's why. Okay, right? So in our next class we will focus to discuss about Carnot engine. Okay, right? Thank you.